Have you ever sat across the table from your adult child, maybe over coffee, and heard them say something that just didn't sit right with you? Something that made your stomach tighten a little, but you let it slide because, well, they're your child. You love them. You watch them grow from a baby in your arms to an adult with opinions, challenges, and dreams. So when they say something unkind or dismissive, it's natural to make excuses. They're stressed. They didn't mean it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. But what if those comments, those subtle, stinging remarks, aren't just throwaway lines? What if they're warning signs? Signs that the relationship is no longer healthy, and even worse, may be harming you. Now, this isn't about normal disagreements. Every parent and adult child experiences those. That's just life. Moments of tension and misunderstanding happen. What we're focusing on here are patterns. Words that reveal a deeper problem, a lack of respect or compassion. Words that, over time, can erode your self-worth, shake your confidence, and disturb your peace. This conversation isn't about walking away from your kids. It's about standing up for yourself. It's about recognizing when something has shifted and being strong enough to create space, even from family, when you're not being treated with love and respect. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard your child say, "You were never really there for me," with a cold edge in their voice, long after you've sacrificed so much? Maybe you worked long hours, skipped things for yourself, poured your whole being into raising them. It hurts deeply. It makes you question everything. But here's the truth. You weren't perfect, but you gave it your all. And if someone refuses to acknowledge that, if they're too focused on blaming to see your efforts, you have every right to protect your peace. Let's break down these phrases, the ones that don't just sting, but show you something's wrong beneath the surface. First up, "You owe me." This might not always be said outright. It can be hidden in statements like, "After everything I went through because of you," or, "If you had done more, I wouldn't be in this situation." The underlying message is the same. You owe them your time, your money, your emotional labor. It turns your love into a debt you never agreed to. That's not love. That's manipulation. True love from a child should come with appreciation. Sure, they can express hurt or talk about the past. But if they demand repayment for being raised, if they hold your role as a parent against you, that crosses the line. You don't owe your adult children your savings. You don't owe them your emotional energy on demand. If they use guilt to get what they want, that's not a healthy relationship. That's emotional coercion. Next phrase, "You're just old. You don't get it." This one feels different. It's not shouted, it's subtle. But it can make you feel like your life experience, your wisdom, your stories, all count for nothing. You've likely lived through world-shifting events, personal trials, deep joys, and yet, all of that is dismissed with a single word, old. Let me be clear. Aging doesn't make you obsolete. It makes you valuable. You've seen things, endured things, triumphed over things many haven't. When your child uses age as a way to disregard your thoughts, that's not progress, it's disrespect. You have every right to share your insights. You have every right to be heard. And if they won't hear you, you have every right to take a step back until they remember your worth. Now let's talk about this phrase, "If you won't help me, I'll figure it out without you." At first, this may sound like independence, but listen to the tone. Is it said with maturity, or is it a threat? Is it meant to guilt you into action? Adult children sometimes use this tactic to pressure parents. Give me what I want, or I'll walk away. And that fear of being pushed out of their lives can keep you trapped. But that's not love. That's fear-based control, and real love never uses fear as a tactic. If their affection is tied to what you give them, that's not a relationship, it's a deal. And you are worth so much more than that. You've built your life with care. You deserve this season to be filled with peace and meaning, not tension and pressure. I get it, stepping away, even emotionally, from someone you love is hard. It feels unnatural as a parent. But sometimes, love looks like saying no more. Setting boundaries can be the most loving action you take, for both of you. You're not walking away from your kids. You're standing up for your right to be treated with kindness. You're reminding them that love and respect go hand in hand. And the moment you choose to stop accepting disrespect, just because it's coming from family, you'll feel stronger, lighter, more in control of your emotional life. Let's keep moving forward. There's more to talk about, more phrases that reveal just how deep the damage can go. Next up, you're the reason I turned out like this. Every parent has regrets. We all look back and wish we'd done a few things differently. That's part of being human. But if your adult child constantly blames you for everything wrong in their life, if they refuse to own their choices, it becomes a trap of endless guilt. They may say things like, "If you had supported me more, I wouldn't have anxiety," or "If you had raised me differently, I'd be better off." It hurts. You start second-guessing yourself. But raising a child doesn't mean you carry lifelong blame for every adult decision they make. They have agency. They make choices. If they never stop blaming and can't move past old wounds, even after you've tried to repair them, then it might be time to take a step back. You're not abandoning them. You're refusing to keep being their emotional punching bag. The final phrase we'll discuss today is perhaps the hardest to hear. "You never really loved me." If you've heard this from your child, take a moment. Breathe. That kind of accusation cuts to the core. It feels like everything you ever did for them, every lunch packed, every late-night worry, every hard-earned dollar spent, was just wiped away. But hear me when I say this. That statement is not only hurtful, it's cruel. Love isn't always flashy. It's not always perfect. Maybe you weren't overly affectionate or emotionally expressive, but you showed up. You gave what you had. You stayed when it was hard. And for someone to take all that and erase it with one line, that's not just unfair. That's emotional manipulation. Often, it's said to win an argument or get you to cave. But don't let anyone, not even your child, define your love or your worth with such a weaponized phrase. You don't need to spend your later years constantly justifying the love you gave. If they've chosen to forget your devotion, that's on them. You deserve peace. You deserve rest. You deserve relationships that uplift, not undermine you. We're going to keep unpacking these conversations because your story, your peace, matters. And you are not alone in this. If someone is willing to use your love against you, that's not a person seeking healing. That's someone trying to gain control. And sometimes, the strongest form of love is knowing when to walk away. You don't have to keep proving your worth to someone who has already made their judgment. Real love doesn't need constant justification. It sees and accepts, even when things aren't flawless. If your child truly loved and respected you, they wouldn't use their words to wound. They wouldn't find satisfaction in your tears. They wouldn't be the reason for your heartbreak. Which brings us to another phrase that may seem harmless but speaks volumes. You're just being dramatic. At first, it might not sound as vicious. It might even be tossed out with a chuckle. But make no mistake, it's dismissive. It diminishes your emotions. It reduces your lived experience to an exaggeration. And that kind of comment hurts. How many times throughout your life have you been told to toughen up, stay quiet, or not overreact? Maybe you've noticed it happening more as you've gotten older. People interrupt you. They wave off your insights. They nod without really listening. So when your child says, "You're just being dramatic," it hits a sore spot. It reinforces the idea that your feelings are somehow less valid now, that your insight has lost value, that you should keep quiet. But here's what I want you to remember. Your voice matters. You've lived through decades of change, challenge, and growth. Your experiences are not excessive. They are essential. You speak from wisdom, not from drama. When someone, especially someone you nurtured, tries to make you feel small for being open and honest, that's not just unkind. That's an attempt to silence you. And you don't have to accept it. You have a right to be heard. You have a right to express your truth without being mocked. If those closest to you can't provide a space for that, then it's okay to carve out space for yourself, to step back, to set boundaries, to say no more. Because this chapter of life isn't about bending over backward for people who don't value you. It's about owning your voice, reclaiming your peace, and finding joy in your days. As we explore more of these phrases, I want you to know, these aren't just words. They represent patterns, patterns of being dismissed, manipulated, and controlled. And when you recognize these patterns, you start to reclaim your power. This isn't about cutting ties out of anger. It's about turning toward yourself, your dignity, your clarity, your peace. You're never too old to establish boundaries, never too old to hit reset, never too old to say, I deserve better. And if this conversation is stirring memories or emotions, if you're thinking about something hurtful that was said, you're not alone. So many parents carry this burden quietly. But today, you're naming it, and that's the beginning of healing. Let's move to another phrase that might sound casual but holds deeper meaning. It's this one. I didn't ask for your opinion. Sure, adult children have every right to make their own choices. That's part of maturity. You accept that. You support that. But when your child snaps, I didn't ask, or says something even colder like, no one cares what you think, it stings. Because what they're really saying is, your insight isn't wanted. Your voice has expired. That all your experience somehow doesn't matter anymore. And that's painful. Especially when all you were doing was offering advice from a place of love. Not to control, but to support. When someone shuts you down like that, it builds a wall. It isolates. It makes you question your place in their life. If your child frequently shuts you out, dismisses your thoughts, or implies you're only welcome when you're silent, that isn't respect. That's control. No parent should be pushed to the margins of their own family. You have the right to share your thoughts. Even if they disagree, they should listen with kindness. Respect doesn't mean agreement, but it does mean acknowledgement. It means honoring your role, your wisdom, and your voice. If they can't offer that, you have to ask yourself, are you pouring into a relationship that no longer pours into you? Now let's talk about one of the most painful statements a parent can hear. You're the one who needs help, not me. Sometimes this is said out of genuine concern, but too often it's used as a weapon to deflect, to blame, to manipulate. You may be trying to talk about something serious, maybe how they've treated you, or how their actions are impacting your life. And instead of engaging, they shift the focus. You're crazy. You're imagining things. You're the problem. That's not love. That's gaslighting. And it's toxic. It causes you to question yourself, to doubt your memories, to shrink into silence. And that's exactly how emotional manipulation works. Let me say this clearly. It's okay to need help. We all do sometimes. But when someone uses that idea to discredit your feelings or shift blame, that's not helping. That's attacking. And when it comes from your child, it cuts deeper because they know exactly where you're most vulnerable. If every conversation leaves you feeling like you're losing your sense of reality, it's time to step back. You do not owe your emotional energy to someone who twists your love into a weapon. If you're still here, still reading, still nodding, I want to tell you something important. You deserve real respect, not just basic politeness, not just tolerance. Respect that honors your heart, your history, your effort. Respect that listens. Respect that acknowledges your place in the family. And if this message has stirred old wounds or current pain, know this: you are not weak. You are brave. Speaking these truths doesn't make you bitter. It makes you bold. It means you're ready to stop carrying this silently. So what's next? You begin by being honest with yourself. You stop excusing hurtful behavior. You start drawing your lines. That might mean fewer calls. That might mean saying no more often. That might mean telling your child, I will not accept being spoken to like that anymore. And maybe one day they'll see what they've missed. Maybe they won't. But either way, you'll have chosen your peace over pain. Your self-worth over constant sacrifice. You deserve to live the rest of your life in peace, surrounded by people who truly see and honor you. If any part of this message spoke to your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below. Someone else out there may need your words. And if this helped you in any way, give the video a like and subscribe to Strong Elderly Life. We're here to support you with meaningful conversations that uplift, empower, and inspire. Here's to protecting your peace, valuing your worth, and stepping forward with strength. Because you are not alone, and you are not without power. You are full of wisdom, full of heart, and worthy of a life that honors every part of you. Here's to your best chapter yet. We'll see you in the next video. Stay strong.